Bringing in plants not only helps make a space more lush and alive, but it also creates a mood, a vibe that you might be hip to. This chapter today, we're going to talk about the best ways to go about styling your home with plants, whether that's picking out the right planter or if it's techniques like layering, grouping, or creating levels. So let's go ahead and move on to layers so I can show you how to place them perfectly so that every single plant can show off and shine. So when you're layering plants in your home, what really matters here is not only are you presenting or bringing your plants into an area where they can all get the light that they require, but you're doing it in a way that can also benefit from how you position those plants. So layering techniques are all about placing the bigger plants in the back and then just layering, dropping down to the smaller plants in the front. It's kind of like in photos. For me, as a taller individual, I always have to stand all the way in the back of the photos so that others can stand in front of me so that they can also be seen. That's kind of how you want to think about that when you're styling your plants using the layering technique. So now I'm going to pick up one of my favorite guys here, and this will be a nice bird of paradise. Now I'm going to place this one to the back because it's going to be the tallest plant that I'm going to put in this windowsill. I'm going to push it to the back so it can get as much light as it possibly can at this very moment. And now when we're talking about layering, I'm gonna go from here to a little bit smaller to a little bit smaller so that not only does this plant get the light it needs, but all the plants below it get that light as well. Now from there, I would go to, let's say, a nice agave plant, medium size. So the tall plant, kind of like myself, and the little shorter individual here. And then we're gonna go, and I have another little agave that will go right next to it. And this nice concrete planter, you gotta mix up the types of planters as well. The material that these planters are made out of are more porous. That means they pull, strip moisture away. They're a bit more airy. They allow the moisture of the soil to dry up faster, which your bird of paradise would love, which your agave, your desert plants will also love. So you're not only thinking about whether or not it fits the look and feel of your space and of your own vibe, but is it going to be beneficial for that plant? That is key. Now that I have my layering happening, big guy, medium guy, low guy, now I'm going to start having a bit more fun up front. So in this area here, while it won't have as much light coming in, if I tuck a little plant in here, I want to make sure that I'm not hiding my own personal view of my bird of paradise, but I also want to put a plant in here that's going to also show off. So the plant I want to bring here will be a nice little Birkin. Now, before I put the Birkin in, I'm gonna give it some height. I wanna make sure that it can fit in this area, but I wanna present it almost like a work of art on a nice little pedestal. Now, when it comes to the Birkin, while it can tolerate medium light, and that's what it'll be getting here, during a certain time of the day, it'll get more light for it to thrive in this spot. Now, I'm gonna take it from big guy to medium guy to something that can fit lower in here. So as you can see, the exposure there will fit perfect for that plant. And the one plant I wanna put into that space will be a marble pothos that, if I rotate it, will fit in this other nice terracotta, but terracotta glazed container. Glazed planters hold moisture a bit better, so I'm gonna have to be a bit more aware of how I water this plant. Lastly, just to fit in this zone, I have my big guy, medium guy, little guy there. I do the same up front so they all can benefit from that light. And that will be a nice little grouping of succulents here. If it sits there, not only will it benefit from getting a lot of exposure from both sides, from all the windows there, but it'll also not be blocked by any other foliage. What's important when we're talking about layering, while you can see everything, you can still get to those plants to water them. That's what's important. You would never want to tuck a really small plant all the way back here. How would you remember that it was back there? How could you get back there to water it? You always want to make sure that you're not only considering where you're placing the plants for stylish purposes, but also for how you can care for them. That is very important. Now, lastly, we have our big fiddle leaf fig here. His name's Frank. I also want to style this area up front. So to do my big guy and then middle layer here, I'm gonna place a nice little plant stand there. And on top of that, my ficus rubber tree. Now I have something happening in the foreground and also in the background. And not only am I making the space more lush, I am now making the space a bit more stylish to fit my particular vibe. Now that we styled our plants using our layering technique, what if we use the more practical technique to make sure that our plants not only are styled really fun, but also get the care they desire? Let's talk about grouping your plants. When we're talking about grouping, it's all about placing like-minded plants, plants that need the same sort of care, the same sort of touch. And in this window, I have my ferns, my orchids, my calatheas, my air plants, plants that love that sort of humid vibe. So it helps me not only understand that I'm gonna have to come by this window almost daily, misting, maybe even bringing in a humidifier, maybe rotating plants, giving them a nice spray. This is a window that will require a lot of love, a lot of attention. But for you, maybe you're someone that doesn't want to spend all that time. I have a cacti window that has a ton of cacti in it. And in that window, I don't need to think about all of those plants all the time, because I know in that window, I just need to water those plants every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks. What is also special and also helpful when it comes to grouping your plants is that when I leave home to go on vacation or to visit friends and family, I have a plant sitter, someone that can come into my home to care for my friends here. So when I leave home, I can just tell them, give them some guidance on how to water my plants. And it's much easier when I have my plants in groups, because they'll know this whole window, this is a window you're gonna have to come and visit and care for daily. But this window over here with cacti, that's a window that you don't have to touch, because I'll be back in time to water those plants. So that's what grouping is all about. And for me to really get wild and allow my plants to drip in all different areas, whether that's from below and above, I'm gonna talk to you about another technique called leveling. So I'm gonna take you into a room in my home where I have a bit more room to be creative and show you the best ways to utilize leveling. Right here, this is where I got real busy with creating a little grouping of desert plants. I got a desert scene. Not only do we have plants below that you can easily get to, you also have those plants that are set up at eye level, and then you have that lushness from above. That's what we call the technique of using levels. It is the quick and easy way to blur the outdoors with the indoors. If you're out in the elements, you have plants below your feet, you have plants all around you at eye level, but you also have plants above, those trees. So in your home, if you're looking to create that sort of lush, wild vibe in your space, being able to use your entire home, every single level in your space to create that look is important. But you're also talking about being stylish, being creative, utilizing what you might have at your fingertips at home. I'll use planters like this, like terracotta pots, and stack them on top of each other to give plants extra height in my home. Terracotta planters aren't that expensive, so it's something fun you can do and pretty cheap. I've also taken this little cacti and put it on top of this little pedestal, but this little pedestal isn't really supposed to be a pedestal. It's actually a pencil holder. If you want to get a bit more wild, go big, why not, right? They say go big or go home. I went big and I stayed home. There is my Rojo Congo above my bed. It makes me feel like I am on a permanent staycation. So when it comes to styling your home, it's all about what is going to make you more unique and make your space more exciting. Having all these techniques at your fingertips, whether you're talking about grouping, whether you're talking about layers, or whether you're talking about leveling, it's all about making sure at the end of the day, your plants are still getting the care that they need.